Welcome back inside the Huddle. Year number 2, picking up where we left off from last year, and that's together. We were at the AT&T Stadium State Championship
for football, and I don't like sitting next to you, man. You're too good looking.
Oh, here we go.
You're skinny.
Here we go.
You're good looking, like the model looks over here. I got the face for radio.
Oh, here we go. Well, you got the knowledge for this, and that's what I love. Press Pass Sports, Kale, Steed.
Yep.
You got that rocking and rolling.
Yeah, PressPassSports.com. Go check it out. You know, a lot of sports info on there, just like you have here at MyHighPlains.com, which this is a web exclusive show.
Exactly.
I love it.
I love it too.
Yeah.
So let's dive right into it. We talked about where we ended last year. That was AT&T Stadium. That's where 4 of our teams ended. We had 1 state champion, but we had a lot of representatives down there. And this year, you would think Tascosa, you know, you look at losing King Doru, but their offense is tailored to where one person doesn't make that team and one person isn't going to break that team when they lose, and they're bringing back a guy like Joseph Plunk.
Yeah, Joseph Plunk, Darius Sanders, LB Moore, the list goes on because they have so many players. They've built a culture, they have the staying power in the big school ranks now, and that's what Ken Plunk has built over his 11 years. It's amazing.
And then you have Groover, another team that was down there, and they're losing, you know, obviously they're starting quarterback, but they're inserting a Division I signee, Oklahoma signee, Jalen Conyers. He's going to make the move from wide receiver over to quarterback.
Yeah, make a move back to quarterback.
Back to quarterback, that's right.
West Texas High was the quarterback.
Somewhere he's been before.
You know, they lost some key pieces, but with putting the ball in Jalen's hands every play, smart decision. I think that's why Felderhoff coaches, and we don't.
And of course, Canadian, another team that, and you know, looking at Press Pass Sports and seeing some of the predictions you guys have, I think across the board, it was who's going to make the deepest playoff run, or at least if you had to pick one. I think Canadian almost every year could be in that conversation, but once again this year, you were telling me down there last year in Dallas, I think they're a year ahead of schedule, and here this year is.
They played that remarkable game with Newton, where not a lot of people gave him a chance. It came down to the final play, and almost beat the what do you call him, the Goliath of Texas football last year. Now you bring all those pieces back. A lot of expectation, but still you got to go out on the field each week and prove it. Coach Ketting, he's on 114 and 16 for a reason. He knows that. 114 and 16. Think about that.
Pretty good. And then the state champion, McLean. You know, they lose a lot of people, but they do bring their best player from that team back in Ben Crockett.
Oh, the truck, man. I love this dude. Is he not your favorite player, man? First, he talks deeper than Cliff Kingsbury, right? And then ran for 2,800 yards last year, like over 70 touchdowns total, and he had like 130 tackles. The dude does it all.
All that was in the state championship game. Yeah, right? Or it felt like it anyways.
It did feel like it, Broke that record. 9 rushing touchdowns. Had 12 touchdowns in that one game. It was amazing.
Outside of him, who's some players to watch in the area this year going into it?
You mentioned him earlier, Clint, Joseph Plunk. Nobody runs the flex bone better than Joseph Plunk. He's been in the system since he was about 7, right? So we know how good he is. You mentioned Jalen Conyers, but let's talk about John Michael Holcomb at Wellington. Yeah. I love this guy, man. He's hard-nosed, he's tough, he's physical. You know him a little bit.
Yeah, and another one of those guys going to Texas Tech. You know, and we had 2 in one day. LB Moore, another guy that I feel like he's been in that program. This, you know, obviously he's been a good player in that program. This is what, year number 3 is for him as a starter?
Yeah, it is, and he's just John Michael's just got it down, man. He's a great catching tight end. He's a great defensive end. Just a do-it-all kind of guy for Wellington. Then you go north a little bit. We talked about Canadian, the Ketting twins, Jack and Bill. Both guys. Jack is a hard hitter, physical defensive back. Bill, kind of a great rover player in the defense, but a great receiver as well. So those 2 dudes know how to get flat out after. And let's talk about Tucker Bridwell at Pampa, the leading returning passer from last year. This guy runs the offense for them. You know, they don't call any run plays. This dude can just call it when he wants to. Think about that. He's 18 years old, calls the own run plays.
That's a lot of trust in the quarterback. How about some week 1 matchups? Since we're talking about Pampa, let's stay there, and we'll kind of bounce back and forth a little bit. But Pampa Borger, you know, this is one of those ones, before I even got here, I knew a little bit about this matchup. Pampa Borger is an old traditional rivalry game.
Here's a story for you. 1996, this game was moved to a Saturday. It was so big. Number 2 versus number 4. And, you know, in a typical fashion, they hate each other so bad, a brawl breaks out after the game. I was a sophomore in high school, went and watched that game. J.J. Mathis versus Cornell Jones. It was unreal. Pampa wins. I think goes on to the semi that year. Unreal. 46-40, Pampa leads the series that started back in 1929. There's a nugget for you.
That's a long traditional game right there. How about Canyon and PD? We're going to kick off the season with this one, quote unquote, the first game in action Thursday night, and we'll get to see this one at Dick Bivens Stadium.
Now, Clint, I want you to start this one off, man, because last year this is where Canyon kind of got their season rolling.
And it's going to be interesting to see if they can get it rolling that same way. No Lawton Reichel, maybe the most fun player to watch in our area last year, leading that offense. Now they're going to have Jay DeFore in there, and someone that I haven't personally seen a whole lot, but I've heard a lot about him saying, hey, they're not going to miss a whole lot of beats going from Lawton to Jay DeFore. Now, he does have big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I did both, and this will be a great quarterback matchup. Dondre the Great. What a football name.
Dondre the Great, that's right.
The Great, Anthony Randall at PD. This is a game very crucial to Chris Fisher's. This is a big year for Chris Fisher.
Yes,
he wants to turn the tides, get PD as a winner. They need this win. Canyon wants to prove that last year wasn't a fluke. Jack McKay on the outside. Look out for him from Canyon, 6'3", junior. Looks fantastic. So this ought to be, I think, a lot closer than last year's game, in my opinion. Remember, Canyon hit him in the mouth early and it was over, and it spiraled. I think this game at Bivens, PD's fired up, man. They've been down for a bit. I think it's time for them to rise.
And it went the other way 2 years ago with PD all over Canyon. So we'll see what happens in this one. Bushland, Childress, two very good programs. Going on the road are the Falcons down to Childress for game number 1.
Remember last year, the game was in Childress. The game was in Bushland. Came down to the last play. One of the last plays, Childress wins, like high scoring game.
Yep.
41-37. Here's a stat for you. Jason Sims, 20-1 at Fair Park Stadium.
Wow.
20-1. So going to be a tough matchup for Bushland to go in with the quarterback, coach's son, Jimmy Thomas, son Jared, running the offense. But they got a linebacker, Noah Laurent. Look out for this dude. He's unreal. Doesn't say much. Can't get 2 words out of him. But the guy can just flat out hurt you. And Childress, a lot of question marks around the Bobcats.
Yeah, well, Luke Latimer, obviously, another one of those very exciting players that helped lead that team to a deep playoff run. How do they replace him at the quarterback position?
Yeah, it's going to be youth for Jason Sims, but that's another team that kind of reloads instead of rebuilds. So Childress, you never count them out, man. That's a Sims team for you.
And getting the season started off on the right foot for a defending champion, the quote-unquote target is on your back, McLean. What do they start with to kick things off?
They're down at the Jayton Jaybird Classic.
That's
Clint.
right. Saturday, Jayton Jaybird.
Yeah, you going down?
Probably not.
Yeah, they'll play Blum. What a name, by the way, Blum.
Yeah.
Number 2 versus number 10 in the state. 15 straight wins on the line coming here for McLean. But it's Ben Crockett, baby, I'm telling you, ride the big dog, man.
You think that they have enough around him to where they can ride him to a possible back-to-back?
Dalton Abshire, a couple other guys around him, I think they do. They're not senior, the seniors last year were so good, but I think Ben makes up 3 dudes, So with the other guys around him, I think they have what it takes. Now, White Deer's going to be tough when it comes down the road, but that's a ways away, so we don't have to quite get there yet.
Football season kicks off tomorrow. That's going to be at Dick Bivens Stadium. We're going to have a lot of exciting stuff that we're going to come to you with on football this year. Kale Steed of the Press Passports is going to be a part of that. Texas Online Overtime, a second football show that we're going to be doing statewide. Also, the locker room, of course, but everything kicks off tomorrow night, and we'll have a lot more of some big rivalry games in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I'm excited.